Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So I'm gonna hop in here and get everything moving along. So I did take a look yesterday and these vines were still green, so I was unable to prune these as I had hoped. Because yes, my thought was if I could just get everything done, then I basically had... Oh, I'm still not far enough. So that will give us that. It's just double checking that it was set at the appropriate distance. Alright, I can move over a bit so that I'm right on where I need to be. Both of these are spinning, and I should be... Well, I should be. Oh, well, I'm not on the line, so I'm not. Alright, so I think they're all good at this point. It's always the challenge, again, because it has the slow update, that it may or may not work as expected. But this is still the only farm that I've done anything on that has used these pruners this way. So, again, I think it's great because then we can get 2 rows done each time we go through, and obviously, in theory, that basically cuts the time in half. The only break in the plan here is there are an odd number of rows. There are 11 rows here before that break in the center, and so there is a little bit, there is a run that only has 1, but then I think it is an even amount in the next segment, so it works out quite well. It's still certainly much less time than if I only had 1 pruner, which is what most folks do. Now it's interesting that it's shooting leaves off the front. I don't know how easy it is to see on the YouTube video. And technically it's not shooting them off the back, but the back is disappearing. No, I guess it is. They're just harder to see here in the darkness. It's always a challenge with Farming Simulator because some jobs have, or some vehicles have 3 light settings. Some only have 4. Only have 3, some have 4. Saying only have 4 after I say some have 3 is really kind of counterintuitive. So, I've literally been up for 10 minutes, so again, I've gotten down here quickly into my gaming cave and, you know, going ahead and doing that. I'm misspeaking, which is not uncommon. It's some of the entertainment of anything that you do for anybody, correct? Isn't that the way it goes? My situation, as I had shared with my other folks this morning, I am not doing nav work. I had been told that I did not need to do that after I filled my 2-year period. That farmer is thinking about downsizing and or stepping back, so they don't have the need to be paying anybody anymore to do something because they're just not going to be as active. Similarly, by the end of that same day, I had gotten told by the other farm that I was doing daily work on Server 5, on Poppenberger, that they as well had their need fulfilled and that I could not worry about continuing there other than this morning. So I have that right now. Now I have talked to them, and it looks like that may turn into more of something like I have here, where it'll just be field work. But he tends to run a lot of oats. Obviously there might be the grass work that we had for him and stuff like that. So I'll have opportunities to assist there, it seems. So that one may not be drying up. It may be converting and becoming kind of more of a traditional farmhand type of setup. So we were chatting late last night when I got back home, and kind of didn't finish anything off quite yet. but I'm hopeful that then I'll have 2 positions. I have gone ahead and sent Lomeric a note about my desire to potentially look at ultimately those 3 fields in the corner of the map here. One thing I would like to do, because it did occur to me, obviously, the edge of the map is part of what I like, because it's the non-flat part of the map. I don't recall when I was out there how challenging those fields are, or more importantly, the land around those fields, because obviously I'm going to have to build things somewhere, and I think that would logically be where I'd be putting them. So I may have a really interesting layout because I just won't have something like this. So that's where I'm going to have to continue to think about that, and I may have to go a different route, because I would be at this point with the farm manager process if I go forward, which is the only reason to ask about those fields. So if you've missed other videos, surprise, I think I'm going to try to go forward with an heavily utilized AI version of what I had done in FSN, meaning just being farm manager. Other than that, there may be no resemblance at all to it. But that's what I am thinking of at this point. What I could do is, consider some other location as well. We'll have to see. I just don't know that there's any other servers that I've been on that I've enjoyed the maps on, or think I would like to use those maps that had space. So I might still be in that challenge as well anywhere else. So we'll have to see how everything pans out. But that is what I am thinking of and what I am faced with as of the time of recording this video. One of the things I guess I have not considered and have not done before in nearly 250 episodes in FSN and others is there any value in letting you know, like, when these really are, like what day-to-day is in the real world, so that when you finally see the video, you understand what the gap is, or does it not normally matter? I mean, because in my case, people can comment, and I don't know how often people come back to look at their comments and see if there's any reply. I think some people are better than others, because I've certainly seen folks reply to my reply and, thank me if nothing else, if they asked a question or whatever. And so I just felt it would be confusing to people, and in some cases maybe just a little bit of lack of interest if they are thinking, hey, I can make a comment and then it'll impact the videos in some way. Because there's so much going on. Once again, this is literally the next day from where I think gave you nearly an hour-long episode again, because I was getting into the deep philosophy of what I was feeling overall, and that ended up being 20 minutes in and of itself. But I only publish these videos, farming simulator videos, every other day, so that there's other simulations on the channel, hence the mature simmer versus something like the mature farmer or whatever, because I do enjoy the other sim as well, so I like to share what I'm doing in general rather than just have it be a farming simulator channel only. But obviously that must then turn into a situation where the videos get further and further away from reality at some point, and your comment, while read and understood and perhaps absorbed and said, yeah, that's good information, I'm certainly going to put that to use, you're not going to see that for months in most cases. I don't know that I'll ever get to the point that it'll be a year or years, but it's certainly feasible, because once again, a month into FOC at this point, I am certainly assuming I'm going to be continuing on just as I always have. But once again, you guys now have the reality that I think I literally felt that way until maybe 5 or 6 episodes before I finally pulled the plug on my FSN experience and said, I need to do something else because it's driving me crazy to do what I'm doing now. So, feelings can change, as we all well know. Let me know if there's some value in saying, hey, this is the date that this is occurring on, so that you have some sort of a point in time. But until then, I'm still going to kind of keep it obscure, other than I might comment here or there, which I've done, I think, before, just so people know, hey, it's Christmas time, hey, it's whatever. And I'm doing more this year on the farm, for example, because I've certainly done that too, where it's like, hey, it's Christmas time, and I've got like 5 days off, and so between planting and then harvesting, like I don't have work in between, and so I'm going to spend an extra 10 hours in Farming Simulator, so I'm going crazy on the farm. And certainly with having a little more land and being able to use AI, that is more of a possibility. Those two go hand in hand. All I have to do here for Limerick is prune grapes, so that is what I'll be doing. Obviously, we're nearly done with the long fields here. I just have to do that wider area of the vineyard that is the shorter rows, and I will continue to do that. I don't think it takes me terribly long. I think it's like an hour and a half or something is what is on my timesheet typically. And then we obviously have the possibility of things at Poppenberger, but I'll be jumping on to very quickly do the dailies. But I had everything pretty full up there. I probably have to move one load of hay to some of the sheep, or at most I'll be moving 6 bales of hay. So I'm not going to include that. I'm going to keep this episode very, very short. Probably one of the rarities at this point so far. That may become more common in the future if I'm doing things a little bit more repetitively. But as things spin off, die off, part of that has been what has really solidified and what kind of gave me the kick in the pants to send Limerick the note yesterday, because when I had both of my other options come back and say, we're going to change the deal, it just reminded me how ephemeral a farmhand opportunity can be. And undisputably, one of the benefits of farm manager in that case is only I can tell myself on my own farm that there's no work to do. So there is the undisputable benefit of being a farm manager that carries, and that was one of the reasons that I absolutely became a farm manager in the other multiplayer community, because it gives you a little bit more control of your own destiny, and you're not waiting for other folks and so forth. See music, that's a new person. I have not seen them, so maybe there was a contract to finish something up that they were on for. I knew someone was on, but they had not given me a howdy or a hello, and obviously I hadn't done anything either. So typically the FM that it is an FM that is on here in the morning, I found doesn't respond, so they may not really be at their machine. They may simply get their equipment going and be logged in to let AI do its thing, but may not be paying attention, or they just don't want to talk to me. But I've come to know that Shazam doesn't normally respond, so I've kind of stopped saying hello, because it usually doesn't get responded to. I've talked with them. They've been chatty in the evenings, but maybe they're kind of drinking coffee or reading their paper or whatever. Reading the internet site they read. Probably no one reads the paper anymore. I used to love the paper, but I haven't had a physical paper in 20 years. So You know, and it's not that I read the morning paper, but I certainly do check headlines and so forth at my favorite sites and stay informed that way of what is happening in the world. So, with that, I know you're like, oh, he's doing it again, because I did this yesterday. I think like 20 minutes in, I'm like, hey, it's going to be short, I'm going to wrap it up, and then it turned into like an hour and 15-minute video. But that's it. That's where I'm at. I will see you next time.